Well, there should be a knife somewhere here in this box. This one actually came from Amazon. I suppose for my unboxing, since I've been enjoying the absolute hell out of it. Got my Griptilian in 20 CV that I've changed to using G10 scales, which, well, it really, really increases the weight on it, but this thing feels solid as a rock. Alright, let's see. That's an HDMI cable. I needed a 2.1 cable for trying to run with a phone. Well, I guess this is castor oil. So, crap, it wasn't in this box. Well, that was super useless. Not to worry, though. I also got this thing, and it looks like it's probably what I'm looking for. All up in here. Hey, it is. What do you know? Vosteed knife. It's going to be the zipper on the pouch on the inside, so nothing to worry about there. A little dinged up. That seems to happen on a whole bunch of these guys. Yeah, this one's a little bit more dinged up than others. But, what are you going to do? That's kind of what happens when you don't put these in a box. You just put them in envelopes like they basically all come from. But yeah, this is a Vosteed. Here we go. We got another one of their little patch guys. A little information. And hey, that's going to spoil what's inside there. And oh, alright. We got a specific super colorful sticker going on for this. We go ahead and close that guy up over here. And yeah, this is the Nightshade. This one is the thumb hole variant. I guess they've also done some ones with a thumb stud instead, but that is not this guy in particular. They've also done quite a few different G10 variants, including purple, which I probably would have grabbed, but it wasn't available through their Amazon purchases, even though couple of days after I purchased this, that did show up on their website rather than Amazon. But yeah, this is quite interesting. You may have also seen, along with this particular knife, the word shilling cutter. And that's more or less kind of the pattern of the blade there, which was definitely made super, super famous, if you can remember that far back, or you were part of the community at that time, to the Spyderco Bob Lum folders that were that. Those were, well, I guess this is about the size of the mini one. They also did a larger one, the Spydercos did, but that's okay. This guy's got black micarta. They also did it in a green micarta, and like I said, a whole bunch of like 4 or 5 different G10 colors. But this was the one that I ended up picking up. Nice that it's 154 cm. I'm definitely appreciating that. I did use, let's see, just a little while ago. There we go, since I have it right here. This is the raccoon. It's in 14C28N. And I did use it for breaking down a whole bunch of cardboard and some other stuff rather recently. And because of the blade geometry, it was working out pretty well, but this thing got some gnarly rolls in the edge afterwards. It took me quite a while. It did just take a strop, but it did take quite a while with a strop with some different compounds to kind of fix that up. Which does make me worry a little bit. Makes me think that this thing is probably closer to 57 to 59 HRC or something like that. So I am kind of interested in doing a little bit of a cut test on that guy. as well as doing that with some of their 154 CM, which I have, well, several to choose from at this point. I got, of course, this guy, which would be pretty interesting. I would do it all way up top there and stuff like that. That would be quite a fun sort of thing. I also have the Valkyrie, which being a Warncliffe is generally a lot more of a pain in the ass. I would have to do it way down here at the very corner of my table to be able to have that actually fully have the blade contact with the board there. And well, crap, I don't know exactly where it is, but I have another one. That, and I do have another one coming. The other one that went on sale on Amazon alongside this one, the Bellamy. That one I got the wave kind of pattern micarta. They also did a frag pattern one. Um, I am really not a fan of the way that a frag pattern cut into micarta feels, so I didn't go with that one. I just went with the kind of a wave or a C pattern kind of thing all the way down there. And we'll see how that goes. The blade shape on that one certainly looks to be quite nice. Kind of a aggressively straight clip point sort of thing or whatever. But yeah, I really do like these blade shapes. Made me upset, or not upset, but just sad that at the time in which the Spyderco Bob Lum folders were around and able to be got for, at least close to MSRP. I had zero money to be able to afford one, but I always really wanted one, and now they're probably, I don't know, collector's pieces, so probably $400-500 to be able to try and get a hold of them. Just not worth it. But hey, at least I can get fairly close with something like this. At least fairly close to the mini version. And I really do like these kind of really exaggeratedly dropped leaf-shaped blades, like these shilling cutter kind of things are. Really does help if you're hooking into something to help bring that material back into the blade a little bit and makes you hold on to it a little bit more. Not nearly as much as something like a hawkbill or something like that would, but this does have a lot more practicality than I think a hawkbill does, whereas that is literally designed mostly for cutting at arm's length and bringing it back towards you, whereas this can do that, but it can also do a lot more EDC kind of tasks. So I do like that. Really nice to be able to grip right up top there. Plunge grind seems to be doing all right. Ends there before the blade, and the blade does extend down a little bit. It'll give you a couple of sharpenings before you would really have any sort of problems there. And the jumping on this one is just where I would want it. It doesn't really extend out farther than I think is probably necessary. And this one has it's a crown spine. Maybe not quite as super aggressive of a crown as you would get on. Oh shoot! I should have this sitting on my table here. There we are. Something like you would get on an Italian folder here. This is the Viper Orso 2 that I just ended up finishing. Doing my best to put a good edge on here. It's quite nice, but yeah, this is an M4 variant, and they did a decent heat treat job on it, so it took a lot of time. But this is also kind of a thick blade. But anyway, I'm just talking about the crown spine on here that the Italians seem to do on most of their models, whereas this one's a little bit more aggressive than what we got going on over here. That being said, still, if you do want to kind of get out there or something like that, this is a very, very comfortable grip to go for in there. If you're doing really nice detailed work with the tip, works out super, super nice, and it's crowned up there. So I do kind of think that's a little bit more what that's designed for. Reverse grip, I mean, this isn't a tactical knife, straight up. And for me, it wouldn't be large enough for that. But this is still fairly decently comfortable. And if you want to do some kind of pairing grip tasks or something like that, if you want to loop around something and cut through it, yeah, that works out all right. Really, really nice access to the lock bar here. And it doesn't stick out proud like the Labrador kind of does. That was the other one that I was trying to remember the name of a little bit earlier. And that, for me, makes it just a little bit more comfortable. I can still feel kind of the wave jimping on the liners there, but we also have that back scale to back it up, so nothing's really digging into me. Yeah, I'm really, really liking this thing. Got a little bit of a lanyard hole thing. I really don't see it on an enormous amount of knives, but I kind of wish that it would be a little bit more standard. I don't generally use lanyards all that much, but I do like what Spyderco ends up doing, which is like using a tube or something like that, rather than just open air for using the little lanyard punch through sort of things there. Treats the material, the lanyard material, just a little bit nicer, especially if you're using something like leather rather than using paracord or something like that. Helps the longevity of the wear and stuff like that, because on here you do have to worry about rounding off the corners, especially on the liners or something like that. So it's just kind of a nice touch that I like to see, but yeah, most companies don't end up doing that because it's a lot of extra work for I guess just like left-handies. People actually do use lanyards very, very regularly on their knives. Probably are in that single to maybe 10 to 12% sort of thing. So, yeah, that's just a lot more money put into an effort that probably won't be used by many people. But still, I'm glad with this thumb hole business there. Feels super, super nice to be able to deploy it like that. It's got that teardrop kind of thing there. In that particular case, it reminds me a lot of... There we go. This guy, Tucson TS-129. Very, very similar kind of deployment thing. And if done right, like it is here, and definitely here, works out really, really well. And you don't necessarily need that perfectly circular hole that you end up getting with these Spyderco jobbies. They still work really, really nice, and they can capture a little bit more of your skin if you're pushing up on there. So, yeah, really do like that particular blade deployment. That being said, I want to say that this thing also, the other variant of it had a thumb stud and a flipper tab on it, whereas this one is just kind of the thumb hole. Between the two of them, if that's particularly the case, and I didn't completely get that wrong, I really do appreciate this not having a flipper tab on it. For one, I mean, it's just going to end up sticking out much more there. But it's also going to be much more difficult, if not impossible, for you to really choke up behind that blade, which this one is really allowing me to do in a really pleasant way, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, basically all of Vosteeds that I've seen so far have a 3mm blade stock. This is a nice high flat grind. The Labrador scored under 200 on the best test, so we'll see how this one does. Hopefully it's pretty darn good as well. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Contoured handles going on there. We have some kind of standard skeletonization going on in there. You can see some standard hole punch outs there. And we have one hole There we go, on this lock bar side here, and then a little bit of the lock bar relief there, which is interesting that the lock bar relief does come back up rather than having it fully ground out. Something I haven't really seen before. It's a little interesting, but seems to work all right. I don't have any problems with the liners or anything like that. And, well, this thing isn't a 3.75-inch blade, so it's not quite as drop-shutty right out of the box that the Labrador is, but all that being said, of course, I can tune this up and get my own lubrication all up on there and see if it can't improve that just a little tiny bit. But overall, yeah, this Nightshade is looking like another banging design. Hope the steel holds up to it. For the most part, 154 cm is supposed to be fairly darn easy to heat treat, but of course so is 14C28N. And like I said, I was a little, I am / was a little worried on the state of the blade material, the 14C28N on the Raccoon here. And I have, of course, seen at least 1 or 2 examples of 154 cm not being done well, and that was unfortunately on the QSP Gannett, which is a really, really wonderful looking knife, nice front flipper and stuff like that. But man, the steel, at least on my particular sample, just really wasn't cutting it. But I hope this one does. Okay, that was really, really Nick Shabazz. I apologize for that. Alrighty, well, this was a fun little look into the Nightshade here from Vosteed, the thumbhole variant of it in micarta. But like I said earlier, also comes in like 4 different flavors of G10, including purple. So yeah, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Well, here we are with some knife and knife-related things coming on my table right here. So let's go ahead and open them up. I'll start with the Blade HQ box over here. I don't quite remember what's going to be in here. I suppose I'll use my Griptilian. This thing is absolutely transformed by using those G10 scales. This thing is a beast. It does add a lot of weight, though. Not going to lie, compared to those the standard plastic handles. But feels absolutely substantial in a really, really nice way. Oh, yeah. Okay. This is nowhere new of a knife, but it was in a very, very good price, and I wanted it for nostalgia's sake. So this is a CRKT M16. As you can tell, this thing does not use bearings, and it was also very, very cold outside. But yeah, this is a Kit Carson design. This has been a staple of CKRT. Or hell, as Cricket, as probably what a lot more people actually are familiar with these model names as. But yeah, I'd sold these things for a very, very long time in the cutlery shop that the couple that I was a part of, and figured I should probably pick one up. This thing isn't super spectacular. It's just AUS 8 design. Interesting that that's not even on the blade itself, but that's all right. Anyway, AUS 8 design here. Hey, cool. It does have I think they call it the LAWKS, or the LAWKS system that can force another piece in between the liner lock when it's out and deployed. I was worried it was going to be their auto locks, which has a spring that forces that forward at all times. That kind of started, if I remember right, on their firefighter design, which was basically the same thing, but it had a red G10 handle instead of these aluminum in this particular case. But they've also done some other G10s and stuff like that. Nice knurling on that very, very flat thumb stud. This is definitely the spear point. And something I don't quite remember from the past is that this has a little bit of a hollow grind to it. But still, we got a 4-position pocket clip, which is always nice to see. In the standard position, it's up. Um, more reminiscent of having older design knives, like a lot of the Spydercos that had the option of having their knives tipped down. They would ship that way. But yeah, still very, very nice, comfortable design. Kit Carson really knows what he's doing with a lot of these guys. And this one's much more of an EDC kind of carry. Hell, I do remember selling these back in, the very, very early 2000s for, I think like $80 to $130, depending on the model. But this one was on sale the other day on Blade HQ, $35. Pretty fantastic. They do have a quite newer model that has their deadlock system in there. Those have D2 handles, but they're also like $90, and this just kind of tickled my fancy. You can reach that blade back there, just generally due to it being a little bit thicker blade stock up top there, but it's nowhere near a danger. You can actually get to it, but still, no real danger there. Sharpening choil is it exists, and the plunge grind is good, but that sharpening choil could definitely stand to be quite a bit larger. I understand why they've done that though, so you don't plunge it into whatever you're cutting and then get it hooked on the back. Something that I actually do find a little bit annoying on finger choils with the overgrind rather than the big thick thing going on behind there. But all right, let's see. This other one is from the Kniff Center, and yeah, super excited about this guy here. This was a knife that I thought was basically a pre-order for who knows when the hell this thing is going to come out or be available to them. But it ended up shipping like the next day or so. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to actually get a hold of this thing here. It's the first Protech I've owned. Sticker there. Oh. Alright, just a little tiny bit smaller than I thought everyone was going crazy about. But yeah, of course, this is the Malibu. However, this is the new version here in Magnacut. Fresh from kind of the SHOT Show reveal and all that stuff. But yeah, really wanted to get a hold of these guys for a very long time. And then saw this jump up there. And, well, I kind of had... well, I'm not necessarily going to say I could justify the price or anything like that, but I had the money for it. It wasn't too bad, like $240 or something like that for it. But yeah, this is the Malibu that everyone was creaming their jeans about as kind of one of the new knives in the recent history that had really reinforced the whole button lock craze there. This, of course, is a manual, so you're not going to get that, I don't know, some people say you could tell a Protech by the sound. It sounds like a switchblade. I don't know, most switchblades pretty much sound the same. I can't quite tell the difference between a Protech and a Microtech and, and like a Boker Kalashnikov. They all kind of sound like, yeah, there was a spring that kicked that blade out, but I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority on that. Either way, this one doesn't really have that. We got, as you can see here, absolutely excellent blade to handle ratio, as the blade is way in the back there. A little bit of a lanyard groove there, and some spine jimping on that clamshell design. Kind of gives it a little bit more sturdy nature because these are aluminum handle scales, which aren't going to be quite as durable in the very, very long term as something like steel or titanium would be. But still, seems to work out super great. We got a super thick stop pin there, which is always good to see. And that's nowhere near here, so you can easily cut in a sharpening choil if you need. It does have a little tiny bit of one, but a very gradual plunge grind that ends probably right around here where my fingernail's actually touching. But that edge is very close to the actual scale there, so you definitely have to be careful and or sharpen a bit on an angle on your system, else you're gonna go ahead and scuff those up. I've accidentally been known to do that once or twice on on some knives in the past, so I do try to be careful. Yeah, it looks like right side clip only here, but at least it is inset there. All of this has a particular kind of coating to all of the bits there. Yeah, super cool. And this is going to be the second knife that I have in Magnacut steel here. Let's see. Hopefully, Protech ends up doing a little bit better job of it than Acton Verba did, because I'm just not super. Sorry about that loud clang. Not super enthused about that A100 that I got. Both in the hardness, which they do claim, at least at this point, to be 64 HRC, which is kind of the sweet spot of it. But yeah, we'll see how Protech ends up doing with it a little bit more. This is, of course, a nice modified Warncliffe. Has just a little tiny bit of an arc there, so a little bit different than... Oh, I guess I don't have it on me. I had the French Reciprocity on me earlier today as well, but hey, it's not here. All right. And I do have one more knife here. This is also from the Knife Center. If it's at least what I'm assuming I know it to be. There we go. Yes, it is. These are titanium scales for the bug out. Which is, yeah, here we go. So this is the Blade HQ exclusive that I got a little while back. 20 CV, just like the Griptilian that I also have. Griptilian, much thicker blade stock and grind and all that sort of stuff. And I do like the fact that these do have G10 handle scales on them instead of the CF Elite or the original version that I don't quite remember the name of. You know, CF something, or not CF something, rather. I don't know. Either way, they were more flexible kind of plastic sort of things. Whereas these are titanium. These are, Berkshire Forge scales here. Hey, nicely skeletonized. Not just in the area where that little liner is going to go. So that looks pretty darn cool. These guys are a little interesting. The titanium scales themselves are milled in China, but they're sent over here to the U.S. and then anodized over here. So they, obviously with this type of anodization, they're all going to look a little bit weird and different. These do seem like they were done as a set because they do match pattern-wise fairly similarly. A little bit more orange kind of things going on in the center on both of them. But yeah, this started out as a purple before they did that. I'm glad that they did list that, hey, these things were originally made in China and then done otherwise. Whereas legally, and something that knife companies were kind of unscrupulously doing in the late 90s to early 2000s was, the last thing that was done to this was done here in the United States. So these were made in the USA. Glad that they didn't do that. But still, I mean, it's titanium. It's going to be a little bit more of the case of this being, TC4 rather than 6ALV4 for the titanium alloy, since that seems to be what is used much more readily in China and stuff like that. I don't know necessarily the difference between the two alloys. I just know that there is technically a difference. And that changes a little bit of the anodization characteristics, but hey, there you go. Either way, yeah, this thing is going to have a little bit of a transformation. I'm going to do that in a separate video like I did when I replaced them with this. Hopefully it's going to be just a little bit more straightforward than me not realizing that there were barrel spacers in the packaging there. But, all right, that's basically everything that I got here right now. I do have another Vosteed on the way, coming a little bit later today. I was just a little bit too excited to wait to get my hands on the Protech Malibu here, so I decided to do these first. But, all right, I will catch y'all in the next one. Well, here's a little bugger I was looking for. Sure, we'll go ahead and use the Boker Justin Lundquist Alluvial for the unboxing thing for it. That thing actually came about as sharp as a crowbar out of the box, but it did sharpen up nice, so that's good. This doesn't have quite the crinkly level of plastic that some of them have had. But yeah, here we go. The tin actually is in a little bit better condition than some of the other ones have been. A little bit of a sputtering sort of thing there. Whatever. Nothing super important here. Inside, we do have the important thing, and that is the Bellamy. And I got the elliptical one in my Carta. The other one that's probably maybe a little bit more popular, at least as far as what I've seen from some pre-sales, would be the frag pattern version of it. But I don't particularly like the feel of frag pattern on my Carta. It feels a little strange. This one's the elliptical one, so it's a little bit different. Still kind of has that feeling to it, though, so it's not my absolute favorite, but it is still very, very grippy. And this guy's got essentially a straight clip point. Nice liner lock. This one, like the Labrador, that liner sticks out proud of that lock side scale, which I suppose I'm going to say it again. Not my favorite. It's not super terrible on this one, but if you are kind of bearing down and getting more force towards your finger on there, you definitely feel that liner there. I generally do appreciate when they're at least flush with that scale. Makes things a little bit easier, or a little bit easier on your hands in general. But yeah, this guy's got the fuller, so I can give it the little index finger thing, or a little reverse flicking action, I suppose. You can slow roll that with the thumb. My thumb is rather polished at the moment, just due to the amount of playing around with things that I've been doing recently. But we also have a good old flipper tab there. We got the front with the jumping all the way around. So I think I've already seen Jared Neve's impression on this knife, but that's certainly something that he would appreciate. Kind of a gradual plunge grind, but it does end up far enough back that you do have a decent amount of sharpenings to go before you end up running into something to kind of make it give you a little goofy smile. Another inset liners into the micarta. I do like those designs a little bit more. They're just I don't know, a little bit nicer, a little thinner overall, so I do appreciate that. The action out of the box on this gang is quite nice. Really do appreciate that. And the front flipper on this one seems to be just a little bit better than what I end up getting on, the Labrador, as well as the Valkyrie and Cormorant and all that sort of stuff. Just that flipper tab doesn't seem to get in the way nearly as much as it does on those other ones. That might just be personal preference and or my larger hands or whatnot, but yeah. With those, I feel like I have to do that grip and get my thumb way up top. Whereas on this one, I can have it in a relaxed position and open that up. Whereas the flipper tab always seems to hit me on those other ones. So that's a little bit on the whoops on the good side there. A little tiny bit of a curve going on here. I certainly wouldn't call that a sway back by any stretch of the imagination, but it does have just a little tiny bit of a dip going on in there. Reverse grip, yeah, it's all right. That little guy there on the end, maybe not in the absolute best position for something like that, but I suppose if you had some normal to smaller hands, also that's not going to affect you as much, as that won't come into contact because it'll be further out. Yeah, just kind of taking a little look over it in general. The milling seems to be done decently on these guys. Micarta, especially with quite a bit of milling on them, always look a little ragged around the edge, and they always kind of will unless you really douse these things with oil to hide a little bit of the fringe there. But they're never going to quite look as pristine as like a G10 milled handle scale or something like that. But that's okay. It's got all sorts of grip going on there. As far as I know, this one is only come in micarta. It doesn't even have a G10 variant of it. This is green because I think it was about the only one that they had with the elliptical pattern on there. I think the frag pattern was mostly black micarta. I don't know, and they always seem to come out with some different variants and stuff like that as time goes on. But yeah, it seems to be quite all right. Just kind of looking for straightness this way, since I had noticed kind of a knife had a little bit of a veering off of the blade. It was centered, but just a little bit strange. This one definitely centered. I don't really have any complaints going on there, and really easy to index by the barrel spacer there to see that. The tip is buried decent enough in there. I guess if I really dug in there with my fingernail, I could get to it, but otherwise, nah, it's pretty much safe in there. And it's the blade is buried quite deeply into that handle, so no problems there. We do have this guy back here for the bottom stopping, and that's really quite thick and attached to the liners, not just the micarta, so that's absolutely good to go on there. But it does look like we probably have we do have a internal stop pin for keeping it in the open position. As you can see, it's not actually making contact with that large post there. Still, that's a little interesting. It does have a stop pin that does end up rest around that area right behind the blade there, yeah. So, might be a little bit funky or something like that. If you are trying to cut in a bit more of a sharpening choil, maybe years down the line after you've sharpened this guy a few times or something like that. Since it still has the internal stop pin on the blade there, I don't think that will functionally wreck the knife and have the knife come up a little bit too far. But I suppose that does depend on the track for that internal stop pin, though. So that would take just a little couple of minutes of disassembly there, which I'll probably do during a review or something like that. Well, this is just kind of a first impressions here, and I do like it. It is a straight clip point, so it has basically a lot of the same useful features as a drop point, but does look a little bit more nasty and mean, a little bit more pokey capable. And also looks a bit more like that classic buck 110 sort of thing, and probably about the same length, maybe just a touch shorter than a standard 110. Definitely longer than a 112. All right, yeah, whatever. That doesn't really matter. It is interesting. The light's playing with me a little bit. Every so often, I'll glance at the flat grind, and it almost looks a little hollow ground, but it definitely is not. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. 154 cm steel on here, which they've done on basically all of their well, I guess more budget models, I suppose, since they do have the Thunderbird that was in S35VN. I am looking for something that I'm apparently not going to find. All right, yeah, but their Raccoon they did in 14C28N. But all the rest of them so far have been in 154 CM. It's pretty interesting. I do definitely like the steel. I know Kaiser had certainly moved over to that in the past. And of course, Yudong has had the Cormorant made by Kaiser in the past. I'm wondering if they possibly have some sort of sharing of industry resource or contacts or something like that for getting the steel. Because I don't think these things are OEM'd by Kaiser like O-Knives are. They do have a decently similar feel to it, especially with the nice drop shutty nature of almost all of their models here. But I still don't think they're using the same. I don't think they're using Kaiser as an OEM. Let's see. We can flip the pocket clip on here as kind of a last thought. But unfortunately, this one's not in set. We at least have flush screws, but yeah, it would have been a little bit nicer to have that inset into the micarta scales, but that would probably also bring up the points of, man, I really, oh, there they are. Okay, I found them. Yeah, we'd run into the points of where they have had inset pocket clips in the past here. Here's the Raccoon. And that had an extra plate for the other side, which they decided not to include here with the Valkyrie versions, which some people have been kind of sad about. And I think this might have been a little bit more of a thought of, well, if we do inset the pocket clip over here, then we would probably want to make a cap for that. And screw that, we're actually trying to make this to a certain budget. And I'm sure the 154 cm steel, not crazy expensive, but still not very cheap in comparison to a lot of other budget kind of steels and stuff like that. It being American made in country of origin and all that sort of stuff. So import costs are certainly a thing of that, especially as these guys are manufactured in China. Alrighty, I need to shut up at this point. I'm just rambling on quite a bit. But yeah, I like the knife quite a bit. Jimping, it's in a pretty good area. I wouldn't have minded having, I don't know, maybe another half to 3/4 of an inch of jimping up there for my larger hands, but it still grabs enough with the the back half of my thumb, so that ends up working out pretty well. Nice and all sorts of good in that pinch grip sort of thing there. Of course, it does have a flipper tab, so trying to choke right up behind it like you would with the Nightshade, that shilling cutter knife, probably not going to work. But because of the way that the handle's rounded, even if the flipper wasn't there, it's still not going to be quite as comfortable as that particular knife was for choking up. But alrighty, yep, there we go. There's the Bellamy. So at this point, I have quite a few Vosteeds since I got the Bellamy here. And then earlier, I had opened up that Nightshade, that shilling cutter, that kind of curved down leaf shaped blade. I got the Labrador, which is a big old liner lock. And then I got the Sax version of the Valkyrie and the Raccoon here. So I don't have the Thunderbird, which is the one that they've done in basically G10 but S35 VN, which I'd be interested in. Obviously, I have to wait for them to manufacture more of them. So that'll be fun to see in the future, or if they do that. There was also a little bit of a worry that if they were going to redo or rerun the Thunderbird, that they weren't going to use S35VN. They were going to use a cheaper steel to make it more affordable. And I mean, I kind of understand that, but I mean, it already was your or the company's kind of flagship model or above and beyond. So you might as well keep it that way. Otherwise, you're going to come out with the newer version, and then a whole bunch of people are going to complain, and then end up trying to buy the old version on the used market, and then you're not going to get a cut of it. So you might as well just continue on doing what you did. But I don't know. I'm not in the manufacturing industry. I just kind of look at it from a consumer's point of view. But alrighty, yeah, figured I should also cover that there's the specific sticker for this particular model here. Alrighty. I shall go ahead and record some sharpness testing on here. I have high hopes because the Labrador and the Nightshade both scored well under 200. So we'll see how this one does. Can they keep it up? I kind of assume that they can because these were all probably manufactured right around the same time. So the same people were probably on the line doing the sharpening. But I suppose we'll find out. So tune in next time on that bad channel. Catch y'all next time. Well, alright, I got one knife for the opening here, and I guess for my opening, I shall use the 6-leaf SL11, and there's a reason for that. This isn't particularly my favorite knife, but I do think this one probably has a bit of a resemblance. So, let's go ahead and open it up. Yeah, it's another Mocenary. So, same designer, 6-leaf here. They do have plans to release models from someone else or outside of Rattlesnake, but it hasn't happened yet. But hey, alright, we got another microfiber cloth in here. And vacuum packed little guy. As per usual. And yeah, this guy does have a bit of a packing schmutz on it. So I'll go ahead and take my little microfiber cloth to it here. And yeah, it does have a striking resemblance, no? But, okay, so this is one of the versions. This is the more fancy version. My thumb is really kind of weird and kind of accidentally polished or whatever recently here. But, yeah, okay, so it's the MK-09. This one's an M390, like their other couple of titanium frame locks have been, but they also do have a micarta version in 154cm steel. So if you were looking for kind of an upgrade and you really, really liked this 6-leaf SL11, but you didn't want D2, they have you back there. It's going to be a little bit different micarta than this one is here. This one is highly polished, whereas I think the Mocenary version here is a little bit more standard grippy kind of micarta going on here. But yeah, this looks pretty darn interesting. It still has that front flipper there, which is super easy for me to do. The thumb opening disc is going to be a little bit weirder just because of the way my thumb currently is. Yeah, it's got a decent detent on it for helping with that. So if my thumb didn't have, as I'd pointed out, it's kind of almost a mirror polish kind of thing going on there from messing around with some things and stuff like that a little bit earlier on. So it should work out fine. But I can't personally do it that way at the moment here. Blade and handle is going to be just their standard bead blast, like they've done with pretty much all the rest of their stuff. You can remove the thumb disc in case you didn't want that on there or whatnot. And well, let's see, this thing. Yeah, I suppose it is kind of right around that same thickness there. But yeah, you can see we are dealing with some burly chunks of titanium in here. Oh, I do see a little bit of numbers printed on the inside of the thing here. Looks like I got number 24 of 200 that were made in this particular, or at least this particular first run batch. I don't know if they plan to make more of them or not, but that is a little interesting. And a little bit of a pivot collar here. Not sure right off the bat if that's going to be anodized titanium or if that's going to be aluminum or something like that. Not quite sure. This is quite an interesting clip. Seems like it will probably work out decently well. It's got some interesting milling on here. But it is a full milled titanium pocket clip that is deep carry, which is great to see. They are unfortunately using some button type screws that I'm going to have to ding them for that for sure. You'd really either want a little bit more height like this or something like that. That being said, let me try and shove it into my pocket. Yeah, I'm wearing some kind of thickish style sweatpants at the moment. It is like 6 degrees Fahrenheit outside at the moment, so definitely a reason for that. And it's not too bad, but I would appreciate them to use some flat rather than button top screws for that. I also generally do like the looks of segmented lock bar relief if they are going to do it on the outside here. And in this particular case, I do think it kind of goes a little bit along with the motif that they kind of have going on the clip there. So yeah, I do like it quite a bit. The blade, the geometry is pretty good. It's nice and thin behind the edge there. Yeah, the blade stock thickness, is it about the same here? Yeah, it looks to be. The jimping's, of course, going to be different. It's finer. This one is less jimpings there, but it is just inset from the liners, so not exactly accessible, whereas this one, it is at least at or proud of those titanium scales, so you can feel it, but it is less aggressive. So 6 in one hand, a half dozen in the other. It basically functionally works out all right. Just like the other one, though, fantastic lock bar access going on with this guy here. And just a nicely executed drop point sort of thing going on. So it should be good. I have had, so far, decent luck with the blade steel from these guys, with the M390 that I've got. But I have heard from some other folks who are maybe a little skeptical on it. So do want to throw that out there. I haven't done a cut test or a full cut test on any of it, but I could probably end up doing a pretty easy and comfortable job doing that with this. And since I've done a couple of cut tests recently after not doing it for quite a while, I do kind of plan on checking that out, see what I can get out of this stuff. We got a stop bar, or the stop pin for it in the closed position there, probably in the open position as well. Yeah, so it's used for both, which means would be a little bit more difficult to cut in a sharpening choil. That being said, looking at it, yeah, we can see the plunge grind ends there, and we do have quite a bit of height to be able to sharpen out of that. So at least the plunge grind is done quite decently on this thing. It is a little bit thicker in the titanium than I was particularly expecting. Looks like on the show side we do have a decent channel all the way through on the inside. Nothing really on the lock bar side. So this guy feels a little bit more burly and rough and tumble than I was assuming it was going to from the pictures there. Not particularly a bad thing at all. I can't really think of anything as far as complaints. But because of that, the balance point is kind of way back here rather than closer up towards here or even the pivot. So that balance is just a little bit different. Still makes the knife feel nice and nimble, since a lot more of that is kind of in a different position than you would normally get. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of negatives to say about it, other than I do hope that the heat treat on the blade steel is going to be good, or at least acceptable. There have been some from like Tucson in the past, especially their slip joints that got quite soft on some of the steels and stuff like that. They've improved, and a lot of other companies are improving. But I do know that quite a few others, like we are supposed to be improving their heat treatment on their 20 CV. Same basic stuff as M390, just made here in the States rather than in Austria. So yeah, hopefully these things end up working out right. I haven't seen them post anything about HRC on these things in particular, but through their Instagram thing, I do know that they do have HRC testing equipment, and they've done it with, or at least had some photos of them doing that with their little fixed blade guy in 14C28N hitting 60. So there you go. These guys, M390, obviously a lot more finicky. Most particle metallurgy steels are. 14C is pretty bomb-proof as far as heat treatment and stuff like that. But still, like I said, I've had some decent experience in the past, which is why I've been happy to pick up this guy here, since it seems to be quite a bit nicer of a version of this guy here that does kind of it's an okay blade overall, but yeah, just different. Ooh, the grind is much different between these two. Yeah, okay, so that is quite a bit different. Yeah, we can see the swedge might be just a little bit different up top here between the two, but behind the edge, this guy is considerably thicker, whereas this guy feels much more ground thin. So it's definitely a thinner geometry. We'll probably end up doing some slicing tasks a little bit better than that. So yeah, I got some good hopes for this thing. So alrighty, well, there's what we got. I will do the cut testing here in a second on a separate video, because I can understand that it's fairly boring for people who don't particularly care all that much about it. So, yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next one.